Hi, I'm Lorne Bregitzer, and I'm going to show you how to create spooky, ethereal sounds from chopping up just a single vocal sample using devices inside Ableton Live 11. This is an example of what will sound like from just one vocal sample. So follow along and I'll show you how to get there. All right, so I'm just going to start off with a single vocal sample. It's pretty short, just a spoken phrase here. This is from a former student of mine named Ronit. She has a sample pack, 2 sample packs on Splice that you can check out that are all just vocal samples, some great stuff in there. So be sure to check that out as well as her music. But this is just that single sample here.
I'm fading.
So I'm just going to get rid of that for the time being. So the main device I'm going to use is the Simpler. So I'm going to go over here into the instruments and just grab a Simpler and just drop that Simpler across that MIDI track there. So a Simpler just fires off a single sample. So I can just actually just drag and drop that onto that Simpler. And the Simpler will trigger off of a C3 at the correct pitch. So I'm going to just go ahead and make a clip that just has one C3 in it. So I just double click, hit the B key, C3, make it 1 bar. And it'll sound like this.
I'm fading. I'm fading.
So it's looping that MIDI note there.
I'm fading.
So next thing I'm going to do is actually go in and rather than having 1 bar, I'm going to make this is my grid is set to 16th notes. I make 16th notes, all one pitch. So that's all, again, starting that sample from the beginning. So the next thing I want to do is I want the position of that sample to start off in a different place randomly. So I'm going to go to my LFO device. So again, I'm going to go to, again, one of my favorite effects devices in the modulators is the LFO because you can attach it to almost any parameter. And again, it has that graphical glitch where sometimes it just doesn't show up. So I'm going to change the rate to 16th notes. I'm going to change it to random. So now it's going to randomly jump around in 16th notes. I'm going to map that to this start percentage here. And when I do that, you can see that start percentage jumping all over the place. So now I'm just going to hit play and we'll hear what it sounds like with those 16th note clips. And each 16th note is going to have a different starting spot sort of randomly chosen in there. Now, one thing that I do like to do is, since it might sound a little harsh, I can increase the attack so it doesn't have like that sharp attack. Even add a little bit of release time to that. All right, that sounds pretty cool. Next thing I'm going to do is go under the controls here, and I'm going to select random pan and do a percentage of maybe 30, 35, something like that. I'm not going to play with that, but what that's going to do is it's going to randomly place each note in a different place in the stereo field. So it'll come across something like this. I can make it wider if I want, 50%. All right, that sounds cool. Now I want it to be a little more random, so I don't want to have a single note hitting every single time. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to choose the probability chance. So if I up that, that's going to give me a probability of whether that note plays or not. So I can go in here and just, so make sure to select all the notes and just draw in, different probabilities. I can keep them high-ish, maybe a few on the low side. And I'll be more randomly selected 16th notes. So I don't have a constant 16th note. So the rhythm is sort of random, and you can play with that all you want. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the pitch a little bit. So I'm going to take another LFO. So now you can see on the graphical screen there. And I can rename this one just so I can visually see what's going on. Sample start LFO. This I'm going to call sample pitch LFO. All right, so click back on sample here. And maybe I want a different pitch, so I'm going to choose random. Again, 16th notes. And I can play with that rate too if I want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to map that to the pitch. So right here at transposition, it's going to go up or down a certain number of steps. I'm going to click map and then click on transposition, and you can see it jumping all over the map. Now, if this is too much, if it's too big of a jump, I can bring this depth down. So when I bring this depth of the LFO down, you can see that the steps of the jump are only going up to like plus or minus 5 or 6. Whereas if I crank it all the way up, it's going up and down, 36. So maybe we'll just do it really low for the time being, and it'll sound something like this. Increasing attack time a little bit. Now let's hear what happens when I crank that depth up all the way. I'm going to turn warp on. So that's just all from that sample. It's making these crazy noises. Next thing I want to do is soften up with some effects. So maybe I want to go in and I'm going to replace this reverb, the stock reverb, with the audio effects reverb. I'm going to use the hybrid reverb on there. You might want to try the shimmer on there. That might sound cool. Or tides or prism might sound good with that. And for the IR, I'm going to choose just bigger spaces, this arena hall. Volume down a little bit. All right, and so the next thing I do is just maybe add some delay. Set to ping pong, feedback, turn the filter on. I'm going to make sure to send delay to a reverb to that delay. So I'm going to right click over here and enable that send A from the reverb return or delay return track. As you can see, it's hitting my CPU meter pretty hard on this track, so sometimes it glitches out, especially when I'm recording video at the same time. But other things that you might want to do once you have that down there is maybe apply a compressor across there. I'm going to click at Dynamics, go to Compressor, drop that on there. Auto release. But this is one of the ways that I use to kind of create random weird sounds all from just a single vocal track. So I'm modulating the pitch, and I'm modulating the sample start time, and I'm randomizing those 16th notes. So there's a lot of other things that you can do, playing with random velocities and that kind of thing. But you can dig in and sort of figure that stuff out on your own. Until then, stay tuned, and I will come up with more videos demonstrating things you can do to create generative music.